I'm Andrea Sgattoni. I'm 35 since 1 week, and I started throwing when I was 14. And I was in a small village festival, onion festival, and while everybody was thinking about what to eat that day, for dishes based on onions, I was in a small square of the village, looking at a guy throwing boomerangs. He used to make and throw boomerangs. He was an old guy having some big traditional 2-bladers and some weird 3 and 4-bladers made of multiple pieces of wood. And I was 14. I was completely hypnotized. He was throwing boomerangs over the head of people in the square, and I was hooked. So when I got home with a large 2-bladers, I went in the workshop and started making a small 3-blader made of very bad quality plywood. I glued together 4 pieces of wood to make a 3-bladers. I threw it and I caught it because it came back. And since then I started making boomerangs. First competition was in 2001. I was 19, and I won MTA. So I kept making MTAs and all the other boomerangs since. I have 2 very good memories. One was in my first World Cup in 2006 in Japan. I remember the feeling of the last minute in endurance. Endurance was the last event, and it was, I had been throwing, at the time I had been throwing boomerangs for 4 years, and I finished 5th at that World Cup, and I was really emotional during the last minute because I was throwing well. And I remember, I think I had 64 catches, and I was completely hypnotized by that. But what the tournament that gives me shivers is the World Cup in Japan, the World Cup in Brazil, during the last event, team relay, when we as Boomerang Gang won the team cup. We won the competition for teams, and I was the last guy running against Frito, and I still clearly remember the feelings of running for the last time inside the bullseye, and needed to just to catch the boomerang to be ahead of him because we had some advantage, and I was really emotional afterwards. I still have feelings if I think about it. It's hard to tell. For long, I liked MTA. I loved MTA. I won my first competition. I won MTA, and I was hooked by these boomerangs. The fact that they fly high, the challenge of making them stay in the air longer. And then I loved Aussie Round for long. But in the last years, I started to practice more and more fast catch and endurance. And I started to become better, and I'm enjoying more, and I lost a bit the stress I always felt about endurance and fast catch. Boomerang design that I love fuzzies. It's a design of Axel Heckner, and I made a boomerang at Alex Topper's place. I copied one of his boomerang, but I copied very badly. It was very bad. So I went back to his shop and I modified him, and a few weeks later there was a tournament and I scored 90 points. And since then I started making fuzzies with that idea, and I sold many of them. Many throwers are throwing, let's say, my version of the fuzzy, and I'm I like this shape very much. And then there are the MTA that I like very much. This is a shape that I came with modifying to making a hybrid between 2 other boomerangs, and I made it in backswing, and it started flying very well. Many throwers like it now. That's a difficult question. I think that boomerangs is somehow very far from, not very far, but it's not an easy activity for something coming starting, especially nowadays. I started throwing when I had no internet, and let's say I can see the difference on myself of my attention span shrinked during the years. It is not because I'm getting older, it's because we have many inputs and we always want to learn new things quickly. And boomerangs is not about that, it's about taking your time and getting, and the learning curve is a bit steep at the beginning. And that's something that puts many people away. Yes. I mean, one is Alex Sopri. I met him in 2004 when I moved to Germany for 1 year. That allowed me to get to know him better, to learn German, to get to know him and his family, and he's always being an example of fair play and being able to concentrate during the competition, to find a very high level of concentration, of being able to deliver what he wanted to deliver. But at the same time, once the competition was off, the moment he caught the last boomerang, he let the tension goes down a little bit, and then he was friendly with everybody, and he was always taking boomerang tournament as very seriously when it was about his competition, but very lightly when it was about having fun and taking it as it is, as a recreational sport. And then lately I get to know Manu Schutz even more closely, and I discovered how behind this shy guy is a very generous person, that he's inspiring, not because of his athleticism and his dedication only, but also because he's really, really generous. Be curious and ask many questions, and try to look at the details also. Try to observe as much as you can good throwers and see what they do and what they don't do. Try to see how they stay on the bullseye, how they warm up, what they do during warm up, what they do to their boomerangs, how their boomerangs look like, and what are the ideas behind their boomerangs, and try to copy the idea, not copy the boomerang. Don't fix on the details, but look at the flight path and try to reproduce the flight path. I've seen too many beginners being obsessed by copying exactly a boomerang. It's just impossible for the good throwers. It's even worse for a beginner to try to copy a boomerang thrown by somebody who's completely different. During the last year, I tried to copy more, to take inspiration more and more from good throwers. But some of my boomerangs have flight paths which are similar to Manu's, to Frido's, to Alex, to other throwers who were close to me during the tournaments. But we cannot exchange the boomerangs. I cannot throw Frido's cannot throw mine boomerangs, I cannot throw Manu's, and Manu cannot throw mine. But the flight path when I throw mine is similar to theirs when they throw theirs. So try to look at good boomerangs and try to reproduce that flight path. Look what's the idea behind their boomerangs. Try to find that out, not copy exactly the boomerangs. I'm taking it quite lightly, so to say. I didn't come with lots of expectation, honestly. I want to have fun and throw well. I mean, try really to enjoy my throwing. I think there are two throwers which are way out of my reach completely. I'll try to get as close as possible to Frido and Manu, and have fun with Alex, who's coming here again. It will be difficult to beat him. Let's see. Physically, I'm not feeling very well this year, and so I need to be gentle on my body and train more and more during the winter.